Should I mention that this is the second time we're recording this?
Yes. This is take 2, guys. This is take 2.
The first recording literally deleted itself, I guess. Good morning, afternoon, or night, and welcome to the first episode of Kulture Notes, where 2 interns give their opinions on the latest developments in film, television, and books.
Live from the interns in question, I'm Katrina.
And I'm ᴛɪᴍᴇ. This podcast was created by Survivors Speak, a nonprofit organization dedicated to encouraging others to speak up about injustice.
Or speak up in general.
And what better way to do that than a podcast?
Even if it's a Zoom meeting.
For today's episode, even though it was released in early July, it's never too late to talk about Superman by James Gunn, a symbol of hope wrapped in modernized socio-political ideology while maintaining comic accuracy.
And then in literature, we have some comic recommendations from the DCU that can help you understand where the film is coming from.
So for Superman, this was released July 11th, directed by James Gunn, starring David Corenswet, Nicholas Hoult, and others. I really liked Superman. As someone who has never seen a Superman film before, haven't read any of the comics, I got a lot out of it. It really inspired me to get more into his lore. Like, that's how interesting it was, especially because I went to go see it with a friend who's read like every comic in the universe, and we both walked out of there thinking, wow, that was a 5-star production right there. So like, it really doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum of like Superman fan, it low-key has something for everyone. Minus the conservative backlash, I guess. There wasn't much for them. And it was funny because Snyder, who made the Man of Steel ones, people really liked those because it was more so pro-America, I guess. And so obviously you knew Superman was an alien from Krypton, but they didn't care because it was very patriotic and it was like angsty. It was Henry Cavill. It was like, wow, guys. And then James Gunn releases his and he's like, yes, Superman is an alien who lives in America, but we're going to emphasize the fact that he's an alien. And all of a sudden people were like, wait, alien? It's like, yeah, he's not from Earth, but he was sent here by his parents when he was a baby and decided that his purpose was going to be to help the people of Earth and reinstill hope and have hope for humanity and all that jazz. And somehow people still did not like him just because he was from Krypton. Like, what did you want him to do? His planet was destroyed, guys.
Exactly.
The bullet point I have here is super woke or just reminding people how to be kind. And I would say it's just reminding people how to be kind. You know, he cared about every living being, every creature, big and small. He saved a squirrel, guys. He genuinely cares about humanity and animals and everyone. Like, he's the purest example of genuine good out there. Also, from the themes, tone, and moral, he didn't work alone, and they sort of emphasized that because, you know, with Superman, he's super cool. He's this like crazy buff guy with a bunch of alien powers. Yeah. And like I said, a lot of people agree that Snyder's version was super angsty, and this one was more so about community and friendship and coming together to help people, especially the flag scene where the kids were calling out to Superman, like with their Superman flag, and Superman wasn't the one who came to help him. It was actually Superman's friends, which reminded us that Superman did not work alone. He worked with his friends, and the importance of unity and not just one guy stepping up to do everything. Like, we have to work together as a community, guys. What his birth parents intended for him was not what he needed to do. He thought he lost all purpose when he found out that the message wasn't like what he thought it was, but his Earth father reminded him that he'd been creating purpose for himself all along, choosing to be good, and what other people may have set aside for him didn't really define like while he was here, you create your own purpose, you create your own meaning, and the actions you choose to make, the everyday decisions. And his meaning, his purpose was to be a good person through and through, and have hope for humanity. And I also really liked how they did Lex Luthor. He had a very simple motive. He was jealous of Superman. He wanted to be the best there was, and then here comes this guy from Krypton with a red cape and underwear on the outside, and he's like getting all the glaze in the world. And even though it was so simple, he was dedicated to the craft of disliking Superman. Like, he was also... Should I mention that this is the second time we're recording this?
Yes. This is take 2, guys. This is take 2.
The first recording literally deleted itself, I guess. But what we were saying was Lex Luthor is very, very intelligent. And it's like, are you going to use this intelligence for, like, to help people or for harm? And he ultimately used it for harm, which is like speaks to a lot of billionaires in the real world. Cough, cough. I wonder who they were criticizing. And what I didn't mention was Superman actually says something like that in the movie. Is like, no, Lex says brains or brawn, brains always win, or something like that. Do you remember?
Yes, I think it was like brains versus bronze, and brains always win. It's like how people say, what's the mightier weapon, the sword or the pen?
Yeah. And it's like, it's funny because they're both nice skills to have. Mm-hmm. Like, intelligence is very useful, and Superman knew that too, but like, since Lex was using it for evil, Superman sort of used Ron to his advantage, I guess, especially with...
But he didn't use it like in a way where he wasn't like thinking or anything. Yeah. He was still like strategic about it and everything.
Yeah, so I guess Superman was like about that balance, and Lex Luthor was seeing everything in black and white, and that's ultimately what failed him in the end, because you gotta look at it from all angles, Lex.
Yes, all different perspectives.
Yeah. And then something else that we mentioned in the first recording was that kindness is punk rock, and a lot of people forget that because they think punk, you think angsty, edgy, scary, and reality, that's not really what punk values are about. It's about non-conformity, of course, but it's about radical ideals towards justice, not, scaring or harming people per se. It's at its core, punk is about being kind. It's about looking out for others, looking towards justice, looking towards community, humanity, seeing the humanity in everyone. And the reason why that's non-conformity is because in today's world, as we saw with all of the conservative backlash, people genuinely won't see you as human just because you're from another country.
Yeah.
And so punk is about...
Or a different race, or culture, or sexuality, gender.
And so, it is radical to, be kind. Yeah. And so that was really a nice theme to emphasize.
And I really liked how, again, I said this in the last recording, how it gives people kind of an introduction to punk rock culture and everything. They can kind of take some themes from there and see how it fits. How they connect, they go together. It's not disconnected or anything.
Yeah. It's a good thing to remind people about. A lot of people said they watched the movie and they were like, yeah, that just reminded me that I'm gonna go help an old lady cross the street today.
Exactly.
I'm gonna help with a animal shelter, and it's yeah, Superman would do that too. And that's another thing we were saying, is that his humanity was his superpower, and he like, you can watch a superhero movie and you can be like, wow, I'm rich or talented as Tony Stark, I can't make a Iron Man suit and start flying through the sky. Or like, I don't have heat vision, I can't fly, I don't have super strength. And it's like, you don't have to. Superman's power at his core was his humanity and his hope for others and his hope for the future. His sensitivity is what made him who he is.
And even just doing all those things, like just like the little things, like just like helping animals or just people in general, are just something like, you don't have to be like, oh, I can't be Superman, blah blah blah, I don't have the heat vision. That's not all Superman is. Right. At the end of the day, it's his humanity, his kindness, his want and willingness to help others. Right. And for things to progress.
Exactly. Like, that's all you need. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor is like, guys, the world is big enough for two of you, for both of you. He's like, I've got to be the only genius around, please. Yeah. And then his like selfishness, his self-centeredness, his refusal to look at things from a different perspective, that's what failed him in the end. His I'm as human as anyone speech, Superman's, that was because when Lex was like calling him an alien and saying he doesn't belong, and Superman was like, I'm as human as anyone, like, please lock in, Lex. That was a really powerful speech, especially given Superman's Earth parents. I feel like they helped instill those values in him as well.
Definitely did.
Because he initially thought, oh, my Krypton parents, they have these ideals for me. That's where my purpose came from.
I really liked how his father had really told him that just parents in general are supposed to give their kids tools to succeed. They're not supposed to push things on them or try to force them in any direction. They're just supposed to give them tools so they can succeed in life and grow.
Exactly.
And figure out their own purpose.
Yeah, because I know some people will see kids as like a mini you, and you get to make them all the things that you weren't. They get to do all the things you didn't do. Mm-hmm. And you have a kid that's just a new person you brought into the world, and they're going to have their own ideas and goals and hopes and dreams. You just need to, help them get there, mm-hmm. Like as his father said, give them the tools to be who they want to be.
Yeah.
Much. Yeah. And they did help instill like good morals in him, like positive. They were very positive figures for him, of course, because it's very easy having heat vision and flying and all that. You could easily be evil.
Exactly. He could have developed a god complex or something, essentially. Like his parents were like, you're gonna rule over him like that, but he didn't. And it was like his the environment he was raised in and the way he was raised helped him to be who he is today.
Yeah. So, like, just nurture the kid, teach them hope, teach them kindness, humanity, see what they do with it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And then I have to mention Mr. Terrific. That guy. I loved Mr. Terrific, guys. He was so cool, effortlessly as well. Like, funny. And then that one scene where he had all of his T-spheres floating around, and he had the force field around Lois, and the music was playing. Like, wow, this guy. I definitely hope to see him in more of, like, DC stuff. Maybe give him his own movie.
Definitely.
And what we didn't talk about in the first recording was Lois and Clark's relationship, or Superman and Lois's relationship. I low-key forgot about that. They were extremely cute, though.
They were, but I also liked how we still got to see their relationship and everything. They didn't make it too like they didn't force it on us, and they didn't make it too much like the center point of the movie.
Yeah, like a lot of movies forget to do that. Like you can have romantic relationship, vibes, and have it as an undertone. It doesn't have to be overbearing. And I really like when movies do that, actually, because they were really cute and they had their bond, but also Lois was her own person. Like she wasn't just Superman's girlfriend or like Superman's coworker or anything. No, she was Lois Lane, and she saved Superman, like literally at one point in time. So it was.
I distinctively love when like movies or anything else does this, where they don't make like a damsel in distress. Like she can take care of herself. She's a grown woman. You know what I mean? So to see that is always, I just always love to see that.
Yeah, and even Eve, like for a lot of the movie, you're like, oh, this is another dumb blonde character who just like no brain, no purpose. And then she ended up being one of the most useful characters in there. Like she literally exposed all of Lex's plans purely through selfies.
Yes, she did. The power of selfies, y'all. The power of selfies.
And that was really nice to see. Like every character was genuinely important. It was obviously Superman's movie, but again, it was genuinely about community and coming together and using all of your specific skill sets, individual skill sets, for like the greater good.
Mm-hmm. I would also like to include kind of like how James Gunn, he also had like said this in an interview, how he took things from other directors, from like other Superman movies. Like I really love that. Like so he just took little things from all those movies, TV shows, comics, and he put them into this one movie so they could all come together.
It's like how a director really knows their stuff. Like they know like what films and books and like pieces of media to pull from in order to make something whole. Because you could just get a camera and direct a Superman movie with your own ideas. I'm like, this is who I think Superman is. But no, James Gunn like used pre-existing media and like how people already see Superman, combined with like how Superman can be used to emphasize like a little bit of modern socio-political ideology, and like what he thought Superman should be a symbol for. Like he's always been a symbol of hope, but I feel like the way James Gunn made him a symbol of hope was very unique and needed for like the time period.
Definitely.
Like right now.
I love like also like the other adaptations like Snyder and all his other stuff. We like you said, we really needed this Superman right here.
Yeah.
And in essence, yes, Superman, he can be angsty, but that's not just all he is. He's hope. He radiates that.
Right. Like we were saying about Supergirl, is how you can make Superman angsty and whatnot, which makes sense because like obviously his life isn't perfect, but Supergirl, that's the real angsty character. What did we say?
We were just talking about how like Superman, yes, he's from Krypton and everything, and he lost his birth parents, his Kryptonian parents and everything, but essentially he was a baby. He didn't really remember anything. He didn't really have those memories like Kara or Supergirl has. She was a teenager essentially, so she has all their customs, all their history just in her, just embedded. And then her one purpose was to essentially protect her cousin, and she couldn't even do that because she was knocked out and put in like the phantom thingy. Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. I forgot what it was called. She was knocked into the phantom zone. And so essentially her one purpose grew up and she couldn't really do anything. And so when she got there, she basically has nothing except for Kal-El or Clark Kent or Superman.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense for her to want to suppress those feelings and that pain by partying on other planets. Yeah. And for her to be messy and have Krypto, who's like absolutely crazy. I mentioned this first time too. Krypto was my op for the majority of the movie. I was like, guys, this dog, bro. But like even Krypto became useful in the end because, like we said, intelligence and brawn. Krypto was a strong little dog.
He really was.
By his cape, and he was violent and messy and reckless and unpredictable. But by that point in the movie, Superman sort of found a pattern in his unpredictability and was like, "He ate the T-spheres. Go ahead and eat Lex's cameras." And so, like, even like messiness and recklessness can be useful as well, and that's sort of a part of punk ideology too. Like, it's not about being poised and perfect, it's about like being yourself, being messy, being radical. And Krypto, I guess you could say he was quite radical.
Little punk rock dog.
Right.
I know in the last recording, guys, you had talked about how like this movie had made you want to get more into like the DC and Marvel universe. Yeah. As a Spider-Man / Marvel fan, because I think I said this last time. I was saying I didn't really like superhero movies until like Spider-Man, and I was like, wait, you guys know what you're talking about. So I watched like, I think all the Tom Holland ones, and then of course like Miles Morales, and then I went back and watched Tobey Maguire's. The only ones I haven't seen are Andrew Garfield's. I still have to get you have to watch those.
Yeah. But and then I like watched Batman, but still when it came to the DC universe, I was like, yeah, okay, not as cool as Spider-Man. But no, this Superman movie has definitely caused me to change my stance.
Me too, because frankly, at first I was really like, I literally watched all the Marvel movies, loved them down still, and Spider-Man will always like have a place in my heart, and he's still my favorite and everything. But the more I've been getting into like the DC universe, and not just exploring Superman, but also all the other characters like Batman and all his things going on. Because he's a very complex person. Yeah. Like, much more than Superman. And then when I think about, like, his Robins, especially the Robins. I'm like, yes. Especially Jason Todd. He's my favorite one. Boy Wonder. Because it's just, their relationship is so complex. Like, how, okay, maybe I don't know if I should be talking about this because I'm talking about Superman. I'll bring this up on a later date, guys. But
right, yeah. There will be a Batman episode.
There will.
But yeah, and like, all in all, Superman is an example of genuine good and reinstills hope. One thing that we said last recording that I think was like good between like Superman and Supergirl, I was like, Snyder chose to make Superman super angsty, and James Gunn chose to like make him a symbol of positivity and joy and kindness while keeping like angsty aspects as an undertone, because like of course Superman was going through it the entire movie.
He really was,
but they emphasize how he continued to have hope.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, Supergirl is the one who deserves that angsty, like,
because as we've seen in like other media, she's usually like so peppy and upbeat and everything. It's nice to see her in like in a different light where you can really understand why she's like that and where she's coming from.
So that's going to be extremely exciting to see. Front and center for the Supergirl movie.
Yes, same.
And then the last point I had was just, it was modern in terms of like what it was criticizing, but it was still very much a Superman movie.
Yes.
Yeah. No, enough.
Okay, I guess we're on to the comics now, guys. Okay, so the comic that I would recommend for everybody to read first, if you're like getting introduced like new to like the DC universe or just Superman in general, is Superman Birthright. It's really a modern retelling of his origin story, so we're really starting not from Superman's perspective but more of Clark Kent's perspective than Superman. While we do see some of his like earlier feats and everything, it mostly is seeing the progress of Clark Kent into Superman. And one of like the major themes, moral, and tones that is shown through this comic is identity. Like, he's still trying to figure out who he is and where he fits in, and him understanding that he can't just, nobody really fits just into one box, no matter who you are. And as much as people try to like idealize and picture him as this perfect person, he's not perfect. Nobody is perfect. Like, he's an alien and he saves people. Like, but he's also a journalist and a son and a partner and everything. So he has all these different aspects, and he still makes mistakes and is uncertain about everything. He doesn't have all the answers. And I love that you can also see his vulnerability through everything. Like, he doesn't shy away from it ever. He shows it. Another theme that is always throughout, maybe not Snyder stuff, a little bit, you know, angsty, but through most of all the Superman media that you will find, will always be hope. He believes there's still good in humanity, and that just makes him want to help people. Like, he has a want in him. It's not like he absolutely needs to do this. It's a want, and that's what drives him. I would say what I would personally recommend this is that you can find out who Clark Kent is, not just Superman. Because, well, yes, essentially they're the same person per se. It's like Clark Kent he's from Smallville. He's a farm boy. Like, way different from Superman per se that we see. Like, you can see that different sides of him through Clark Kent.
Yeah, because Superman is a very performative identity. Like, those are his values, of course, like helping others and being kind. But he's Kal-El, of course, but like, he's more so Clark Kent, and he's shy, he's worried, he has fears and hopes and dreams.
Like, to also bring back the movie a little bit too, we can see that like when he was in that interview doing that interview with Lois, or even when we saw him as Clark Kent, like his tone of speaking, his body language was way different. Like, when he's Superman, he's confident. Yeah. When he's Clark Kent, he's a little more shy, a little more, you know,
like reserved.
Yeah, reserved.
Yeah, and then like Superman is his big, strong, brave persona per se. Yeah,
but they're all him. No matter what, they're all him.
Yeah.
One last point I would like to point out is that in this comic, it shows his like, because we already see like how complex his relationship is with Lois and Lex already in the movie, but in this comic it really like digs deep into the complexity of their relationship. And essentially, I guess it also helps to show you why Lex kinda is the way he is towards Superman.
Yeah, because we definitely get like a little snippet of that in the movie. It's like, right, so he was like fueled by jealousy, hurt, etc. But the comics really like give you deeper insight.
Yeah, I also feel like while he's jealous and everything. He also really admires Superman. Like it's kind of like you can kind of see like that undertone just a little bit, like in the movie. Like he doesn't just like hate him. It's just like they just have a really complex relationship with everything. Like it's reminding me of that scene, like when, spoiler a little bit, when he was like when Superman was in the pocket dimension and Lex was there, and like how the kryptonite was making him weak, and then we see like their hands and everything. It kind of was like they're like, I don't want to say it like this, but like you can see just little parts of them,
Yeah. Okay.
Like two sides of different coins, basically.
There's a quote I really like that's like, jealousy is admiration turned sour. Like, yeah, it is.
That's definitely it. That's definitely how I would describe it.
Yeah, and then I forgot what I was gonna say. There's something I liked that we said in the last recording. I think we pretty much said it here though, that throughout it all, Superman continues to have hope for everyone and everything. And even on the giant football field when he was with the engineer and like the clone, when he had them alone, he was like, you don't have to do this, you can turn back now, like it doesn't have to be this way. They ignored him, of course, but like it sort of like shows that Superman has hope for everyone. He believes that nobody has to use their power or intelligence for evil.
Yeah, like not everything's black and white. There are different shades.
Exactly. Only took 2 tries, guys. We do have another important story though. We do hope you enjoyed this episode overall, but before we go, we have something very, very important to mention.
Yes. Today we will, probably you'll see repeatedly, we'll be talking about this woman named Krystal Clark. She's currently in ᴛɪᴍᴇ Valley and she's battling mold. Mold is growing out of her ear and has caused her to develop aspergillus and COPD, and she is deathly allergic. So she's dying inside right now and nobody's doing anything about it. We have contacted elected officials and everything, and we're constantly putting her story out there, but so far there have really been no breakthroughs, and we're hoping once you guys see this, you can start sharing, reposting, just mentioning to other people, calling. We have the number and everything to call like governors and everything to really get people to see her story and her case and to help her out.
Yeah, because black mold is, no one should be exposed to it at all, but her being allergic to it on top of everything, like it is affecting her like very extremely. And you would think that the institutional staff would do something about it, because it's not just inmates being exposed to black mold, it's everyone who's in there. But they are neglecting everyone in that building and not providing any medical care for Krystal or anyone else. Women have died in that prison due to poorly enforced health standards. There's mold in the water, the drinking water, the shower water, the food, the walls. Like, it's extremely unsafe, and nothing has been done about it. It's been confirmed by a judge, like in a federal court, that like this can result in death. Like, it's a lethal amount of black mold in there, especially for someone who's allergic like Krystal.
Plus, it's not helping that how hot it's been lately and everything. Mold thrives in heat, so it's been growing. So it's not getting any better. If anything, it's getting worse.
Correctional facilities are meant to help, not kill. Exactly. You're supposed to, do your time, and eventually be reinserted in society. You can't learn, grow, and be reinserted into society if you are killed by black mold.
And like through everything we talked about today, all the Superman stuff, and this is that we're all human. Nobody deserves to go through that. No matter what they've done, nobody deserves that.
Do what Superman would do. Superman would absolutely help the women in Huron Valley.
Yes, he would.
He would absolutely donate. Absolutely. We have the number, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely call.
And look at her link tree and go through all her files. We have like medical notes and letters from lawyers and everything that you guys can go through and look at and potentially put out there for people to see.
Yeah. Have hope for humanity. Be the light in your community. Spread the word. Speak up. Use your voice.
So if you guys like this episode and want more,
or if you hated it and we need to redeem ourselves,
tune in next Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for more news, film, and books.
And don't forget to check out Krystal Clark's link tree. She needs your help. Be the change you wish to see in the world.
Bye, guys.